Cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
Our cancel culture project primarily focuses on the different effects that this culture has on different individuals online and in person. To accumulate rich qualitative data, we conducted several qualitative research methods through 15 individuals interviews, focus groups, ethnographies, as well as findings from our coding analysis. Our interviews, some of the main questions we asked include, what comes to your mind when you hear the phrase cancel culture? And this is what some of our interviewees got to say.
The way that we are seeing is kind of trendy. So there's someone saying something either really offensive or maybe slightly offensive on social media. Everybody jumps on the bandwagon of being like, oh, we don't do this anymore. We hate this person now because they said this. I am elder millennial and the phrase is relatively recent to me. The phrase means when someone practices withdrawing, supporting from canceling public figure and companies after they have done or said something considered objective or offensive.
Who are the cancelers? Through our research, we found that this group of particular participants believe that the victims did something wrong in a way that is contradicting their beliefs, and so they must take action to call out the victims. A subgroup of this type would be those who are following the trend of canceling.
A term like mob mentality, and just how one person starts to think and behave a certain way and it just sort of spreads amongst the group. We're seeing people holding others to a level of accountability.
To end me.
That the past is relevant with you with underage girls.
Absolutely no, it's not.
Fair. I think we can always hold our
I'm sorry. You're also putting a hierarchy over who can be offended. Now I'm offended.
One of the most controversial roles would be the victims. They can be anyone with no online followings, to celebrities, politicians, to even brands. There are several ways that someone can become a target. They may have intentions in sparking up controversial actions and words that causes an online uproar, hence leading to their canceling. An example of this would be the recent Kanye meltdown and Balenciaga campaign scandal. While these type of people display their actions with intentions, there are others out there who are unfairly canceled without any real causes. An example of this is Rebecca Black. Remember her? Yes, her. She was cancelled at just 13 years old for putting out the song Friday with her friends for her birthday, and she was viciously attacked for months. Last but not least, victims can also be those who were dragged into a recent drama that technically no longer involved them. An example of this is Miss Julia Fox, who briefly dated Kanye West, is being dragged into his meltdown because of just that association that they had. The last identified role is the bystander. Through our research, we found that this is the most common role, as many of our interviewees identified themselves as a bystander. These participants would not take action in canceling someone or publicly express their support of the victim unless they are passionate about the topic or are personally offended by the topic. Then they transition to become a canceller. Their main activities consist of spectating on various online platforms and may or may not bring the topic up among their close friend groups, but will not take an active direct approach, as their main concern is to not draw attention to themselves for expressing their opinions on the matter, as fear of being the victim sets in.
I'm kind of a little hesitant, so even if I see or hear a controversial issue, I won't be able posting story or over my social media. I rather keep it to myself and stay quiet rather than create more problems.
Sick thing that people are doing.
Duh. Hey, if you do anything wrong in your life,
Looking for people that are bad, looking for things that are wrong.
when I find out about it, I'm going to try to take everything away from you.
It's very toxic.
People that talk about cancel culture never seem to shut the
Cancel culture as a trend can seem to do more damages than good, but this assumption is subjective and will vary from person to person. But what if that is true? We have found many examples online and from our interviews and focus groups where the majority view cancel culture as a toxic trend, in many cases shouldn't have happened, or is blown out of proportion when fueled by bored or offended social media users. Consequences of cancel culture on the negative side, it sets limitations on the freedom of speech of different individuals and impacts the mental state of bystanders, cancelers, and victims.
Even my husband had to just go through everything in front of everybody and make
lots of mistakes in front of the entire world. There was nothing that he could do that would get by the media. It always made me feel really sad for him because so much of what was going on was what anybody his age would be doing, except it was on this much bigger scale. There was so much more pressure on him to be like this perfect example to people, and I always say to him, I'm so impressed with how normal you are because I don't even know what that feels like to go through mentally, emotionally, physically, and I know that it did have an effect, a big effect on him, and I'm just grateful that he's able to be the mature, stable adult that he is now.
Of course, your mental health goes for a toss because now, for example, if I have done something, you know that is not socially acceptable for people, or people think that is wrong, and there are so many people against it, it can impact my mental health.
Young and male fans see him as a sort of antidote to cancel culture and a guide for how to be a modern man. But for the vast majority of people, these clips have exposed Tate's misogynistic, backwards, and just generally disturbing ideology.
I'm a feminist. I believe in empowering women. Make as much money as you can. Yeah, sure. Do OnlyFans. I wouldn't even mind my girl doing OnlyFans as long as I kept all the money.
You're keeping all of it though?
Yes, she's mine. She's my property, so she's selling my property. Like if we're gonna rent out my house, then I get the money, right? You're my chick, you're my property. You're gonna sell pictures of my property. Cool, where's my money?
Participants discuss how the American First Amendment, which protects our rights to freely express ourselves, is no longer visible in this trend. While some abuse the First Amendment right as a chance to make offensive remarks about race and religious beliefs, there are people out there who are afraid to express their full opinions to avoid the chance of getting abused, bullied, threatened, or criticized. The limitation of freedom of speech was acknowledged, and this was note how many are reluctant to stand up for what is right because doing so they are going against the majority beliefs.
Sometimes cancel culture restricts me from saying what I want to say only because I am thinking about what other people say. How would they react? They could be overreacting just because they don't get it. My view is that when freedom of speech is abused, a cancel culture develops. This culture could be something you quickly buy, particularly political movement, business, or an event. You happen to make someone accept this under pressure. Therefore, there are many well-known celebrities in this scenario. One is Donald Trump in particular.
Allegations against the Ellen DeGeneres show keep growing. Overnight, 36 more employees came forward.
Ever since the start of the Ellen DeGeneres show in September of 2003, Ellen herself has become one of the most talked about hosts in talk show history. Passing the spotlight onto talented kids of all ages and humanizing our celebrity idols, she has made a name for herself being one of the most selfless and entertaining personalities in media. Over the past few years, however, rumors have started to surface about Ellen and how she really treats those around her. More recently, even her show has been said to have a dark underbelly.
So the fundamental question is, can cancel culture be effective? And the answer is yes. Our research demonstrates that cancel culture offers tremendous effects such as giving power to various minorities, holding people accountable, promoting awareness, initiating legal action, and offering suitable advantages for those seeking justice. In our research, we discovered that cancel culture was effective in keeping people accountable for their words and actions to some level. With the cancel culture trend quickly spreading, it enables for quick and widespread knowledge of the stories, and people can come together on social media to shed light on the matter. Our findings conclude that the highest achievement of cancel culture usually results in legal actions and holding the wrongdoers accountable for their actions.